The crypto community seems on the verge of needing group therapy as we see fear, uncertainty, doubt, and depression across the market. And there's bad news after bad news after bad news all piling on because everyone likes to kick a man when he's down. And what's Bitcoin doing through all of this? Ranging sideways, chopping in a range, and potentially making a higher low at support. Why are humans so bullish at resistance and so bearish at support? Well, that's why charts work. We're going to take a look at the charts and all of the news negative driving the crypto market today. Let's go. What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets. Please, before we get started, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, that thumbs up right down below. Now, as I mentioned in the intro just a few days ago, the community seemed to be getting exuberant when price crossed that 40,000 psychological level. But as I pointed out for weeks, there's nothing to talk about on the bullish side until price makes it over 42K and potentially even higher. Bitcoin continues to range sideways. People were exuberant when price was high, and now they're very depressed as price reaches the range lows. But at the end of the day, it is just that, a range. When Bitcoin or any asset is trading sideways, that is when people freak out and lose all of their money trying to buy breakouts that don't happen and short breakdowns that also do not happen. As I've preached for weeks, I've been sitting on my hands doing absolutely nothing in this market. As a trader, sitting on your hands and doing nothing is a position just as much as taking a long or a short. This is where people get chopped up, and you can see that people are absolutely getting rinsed, losing their money. We just saw another $1 billion in liquidations just in the last 24 hours. Hundreds of thousands of people losing their accounts as Bitcoin dropped not even to the range lows. Let's take a look at the charts right now, and then we'll take a look at all the news. Because as we know, people love to kick a man while he's down, and while price drops, we always see that negative news piling in. But here first is the weekly chart. Interestingly, if you look at it, since the drop, which now has been over a month ago, crazy that we've been dealing with this since about May 17th when price bottomed at around 30,000. We have a low, a high, a slightly higher low, and a slightly higher high. That would be confirmed by a higher low. Right now, we are potentially putting in a higher low. There's nothing really bearish about that. You can also see that the 50 MA is just below here, still rising, 30,266 as we are looking at this chart right now. That would be strong support, you would think, if price does drop back down to around 30,000. But for now, I'm not saying that this will remain this way, but for now, all we have is higher lows, which means that we could be seeing a reversal and we are chopping sideways. Nothing super bearish, even though we do have increased volume and selling and a whole lot of negativity coming into this area. Now let's take a look at the daily chart. You can see those higher lows right here. Low, low, higher low, and bouncing exactly off support. Yes, we have increased volume today for the first time in quite a while on selling with still 10 hours left in the daily candle. So that's generally negative, but we'll have to see where the day closes. Yesterday, I actually had a potentially very bullish daily hammer, but as I always say, you can't trade a candle until you see confirmation, and right now we have a pretty bad candle the next day. But if it closed up here, that could show that we're due for a reversal. As you can see, every time price has gotten down here into the 34, 33,000s, we've had these long wicks down, tons of demand, meaning that price continues to bounce. But for right now, we still have this sort of symmetrical triangle. Some could view it as a bear pennant, but we are making lower highs, not great, and higher lows. That is encouraging on the bottom side. This bounced exactly off support as people became more and more depressed and sure that price had to go down. It still can. I am not saying that it won't. I'm just saying that for right now, we are making potentially a higher low on the daily chart with another wick down, showing that there is demand for buying in the low 30,000. Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. This is where everybody was really excited, seemingly just a few days ago, right? Right in the middle of June, about a week ago, price got up into here, into supply. This is strong resistance, as I said. And we had this ugly candle that I pointed out, which showed that we were likely headed back down, losing that 200 MA on the 4-hour, and once again getting rejected at this resistance right here. Never even made it to that 42,000 level that we were watching, or to the highs of the range around 42,996. Price ultimately dropped, lost the 50 MA, lost the EQ of the range. The center line is support, tested as resistance, and dropped down. And yet again, just like we've never retested the ultimate top of the range, we have not yet tested the ultimate bottom of the range. We're kind of ranging in between. For now, we have a decent looking 4-hour candle here that could signal a potential reversal, but we got 2 hours left in that candle. We did have the long wick down yesterday, but like I said, low, higher lows, higher lows. All we're seeing here is higher lows for the moment. That is not inherently bearish. Now, taking a look at RSI and the line chart on the 4-hour, you can see that we once again have oversold RSI with a potential bullish divergence on the 4-hour chart. We will see how this closes by the time this video comes out, but if we have this definitive elbow up here, that should be a signal of a bottom and a reversal, and we should take the trip from oversold up to overbought. We also have this potentially on the 6-hour chart, and I've already seen it confirmed on the hourly, and we have potential bull divs on the 12 and daily chart just over a longer period. There are a lot of signals that this could be a potential bottom, and there's no reason to panic unless the range lows are lost, but I will be watching very closely to see if this confirms. As you know, with RSI, you generally make the trip from overbought to oversold, back to oversold. Well, we're at oversold again. That means we should head to overbought. Maybe that gives us relief and another trip to the top of the range. You can see that we were overbought once again when price made it to almost 41,000 right up here, right? Very, very predictable. And everybody's been talking about the BItfinex whale shorting. Well, he is very clearly closing his shorts as we speak. That could be a good sign for price to go up. Now, listen, that's the chart. There are some signs we could be at the bottom. At the end of the day, like I said, we're chopping sideways and ranging, and to even look really good, we got to get above that level, 42,000. But let's take a look at the news cycle. I woke up this morning on a Monday with a smile on my face as usual, ready to get my coffee and dive into my day. And I just looked at the news and it was bad news story after bad news story after bad news story. Absolutely unbelievable. And frankly, I love to see it because the more FUD and the more negativity, the closer we generally are to the bottom because people are more depressed and more panicked. But let's take a look here. The first story I saw, Bitcoin is a fraud and spells doom for investors, economist Peter Brezin says. This was his quote. If you look at transactions involving Bitcoin to this day, the majority continue to finance all sorts of illicit activities. But if you look at how much Bitcoin is used for legitimate business purposes, the answer is very little. Now, guys, we know for an established, undeniable fact that less than 1% of transactions on the Bitcoin network are used for any sort of illicit activity. And he says the majority continue to finance all sorts of illicit activity. This is literally just fear, uncertainty, doubt, and blatant lies meant to tear Bitcoin down. Well, if that one wasn't bad enough, let's just dive into the next story from China. The PBOC orders Chinese banks to cut off accounts for crypto OTC merchants, reiterating 2017 banking ban. Yeah, this is not great. They are cutting off anything related to crypto, exchanges apparently included. But this is a 2017 banking ban. Absolutely nothing has changed here. This is not new. And we know that China is cracking down. Just another FUD story. And what's next? I mean, if China's bearish, then it has to be all bad in Russia, right? Head of Russia's central bank. Crypto investing is the most dangerous investment strategy. Most dangerous. It's the most dangerous investment strategy. There couldn't be anything more dangerous because crypto has to be the devil. Why? Because prices dropping and we are piling on the FUD. Well, I guess if you look over to Russia and China and those are bad, well, we should probably dive back into the American market and see what our analysts are saying. Bitcoin Ethereum prices fall as the crypto market in an over-leveraged bubble. Against a backdrop of El Salvador's Bitcoin boost, famed investor Michael Burry, famous from The Big Short, warns about a crypto price bubble and China intensifies its crypto clampdown. I think we could have had a bubble narrative at 65,000, but starting to call it a bubble at 32,000 once again is just absolute FUD and nonsense. China and Russia, might as well throw in Iran. Iran bans blockchain associations citing regulatory breaches. And man, I mean, if that's not enough, let's go over to Malta. I mean, Malta has to be bearish because Malta investigated for lax oversight on crypto transactions. That's 4 countries just that I found news on in about 5 minutes, all apparently bearish. What else do we got? Bitcoin hash rate plunges as Chinese crypto mining crackdown hits Sichuan. Let's go right back to China. We do know that they are clamping down on miners, but we also know that this is good for Bitcoin in the long run. Maybe it drops hash rate now, but this means it will be more decentralized, removed from China, and that we'll be moving towards cleaner miners that are in North America. This is complete FUD, and it is actually good news long term. And well, I mean, now that we have Iran, Malta, China, who else? Russia, might as well go into the United Kingdom. Bank TSB set to bar 5.4 million customers from buying crypto. Bank TSB is set to become the latest financial institution in the United Kingdom to prevent customers from investing in crypto. What is left, guys? What more can they throw at us? This is all of the recycled FUD that we've been hearing for a decade. Only for criminals. The guy said a majority of transactions are for criminals. Only for criminals. Got the environmental FUD that we've been seeing, but not today. Countries banning it, regulation, all the things, all the negative narratives we've heard from years being piled on all at once right as price hits support and is dropping. This is how it always works. Bullish at resistance, bearish at support. This is all complete nonsense and nothing worth getting worked up about. But man, I'll tell you, even I, after reading all this news and seeing the Bitcoin price drop, was a bit befuddled and concerned this morning. And if my emotions are any indication that when I start to get frustrated and a little bit concerned, usually that is near a bottom and it's time to buy Bitcoin. And we might as well take a look at the one clear bullish piece of news. MicroStrategy expands company's Bitcoin holdings with $489 million purchase at an average of 37,617. MicroStrategy bought 13,005 Bitcoins. They now own 105,085 Bitcoins with a cost basis just around 26,000. Michael Saylor is not stopping. He's not looking at charts. He's not worried about death crosses. He's not worried about trend lines and ranges. He's dollar cost averaging in a huge way into Bitcoin with any cash he has, like most people who are passionate about Bitcoin are probably doing. Guys, do not be concerned with all of this nonsense. Price may go down. It may drop significantly. I have no idea, but I do know that this is a coordinated FUD campaign that happens kicking a man while he is down, and that all of this will soon resolve and that Bitcoin will continue to rise again. Thank you for listening. I will be live today at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here, looking at other charts and digging deeper into the markets and the news. Please go ahead and subscribe to my newsletter down in the description. Check out BItfinex, my sponsor. Read everything else I got going down there. Until 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. Peace.